could be the biggest statue I've ever unboxed. What's going on, everybody? GemMint back again with another statue unboxing and review. This time from XM Studios, we have their 1/6 scale Justice League vs. Darkseid diorama. It's gonna be a long video, let's jump into it.
All right, guys, let's jump into the first box. This one does have the XM Studios envelope. It does have the package contents inside. It doesn't have the assembly instructions because there is a YouTube video for that, but this is kind of to let you know where everything is. So it has that and how to register on the back, which I'm not going to look at. But let's go ahead and put that to the side, lifting off the lid, taking off the straps, and then we have layer 1. So removing all the paper, all the plastic, we can see a few of the Justice League members here. We can see some capes, the trident. Let's go ahead and pull out the first piece. And it's actually the body of a parademon. So not only do you have the Justice League vs. Darkseid, but we have one of his minions as well. A lot of battle damage, kind of dirt and weathering on the paint. The green and gold costume looks very comic accurate, just like the portrait. It doesn't even really look alien. He's got kind of like an older mug. Got those goggles on with the gold trim. 1/6 scale, so the human portraits are on the smaller side. And then we have Martian Manhunter, and I say human, but humanoid, I guess. Love the green paint job. The muscle detail is crazy. Classic comic book look, especially with the pirate boots. But I always say this, XM Studios does great on green painted skin. And then here we have the portrait, John Johns, the Martian Manhunter. Love this portrait. Muscle detail looks crazy on the neck. The teeth are so well done. Those eyebrows are crazy. Got that alien skull on the back of his head there, kind of pointed out like cone heads. And of course, his cape. So a few characters have sculpted capes here that'll key into the body, and then the portrait will key into the cape. Love the movement. The shadowing looks great from the blue to the black. And then on to Wonder Woman. So she's all one piece except for her lasso of truth. She's got a good look to her, very comic book inspired. I felt like the thighs looked a little bit on the thin side. She doesn't really look powerful to me, but maybe that was a licensing issue. Classic costume here, as you can see, and a very strong, powerful look for Wonder Woman. And then the lasso of truth, like I mentioned, they have it in this little baggie. So there's actually 2 lassos here that you can put through each one of her hands and wrap around Darkseid however you'd like. Barry Allen, the Flash, is here as well. He's one piece except for his lightning bolts that will attach on. You can see him holding that mother box in his left hand. Good looking sculpt. I like that running pose. Of course, what more could you do with Flash? He's got the muscle definition with the shadowing on the costume. Looks great. And then those little lightning bolt pieces like I mentioned. So that same gold trim, they'll go on his legs and arms. Moving on to Aquaman, he's got the golden scale type of armor on his torso. He's got the green pants. You can see the A on the belt. You don't see his foot because it does key into the base, but also great muscle definition. We can see his trident that his hands are attached to, and they can move freely throughout the trident too, so it's easy to key in. We can see the detail, the gold shine. And then Arthur Curry himself, that classic comic book portrait. That's a great looking portrait. Teeth look on point. Love the anger in his face. The hair is sculpted so well, and the color looks great as well. Great portrait for Aquaman. Now let's take a look at Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, also one entire piece. Looks like he's straight out of the comic books with that costume. Love the pose, and he'll have a piece that can go on his fist. You can see that same kind of dirty weathering on his boots. And then we have this piece of translucent resin for his construct. Here we have an alien weapon. I think it's from Apocalypse. One of 2 that we'll see in this diorama. This one will go into the base for Darkseid. And that's everything for box 1, layer 1. Layer 2 has all of those bases for these individual Justice League characters. So they all have their own bottoms with padding. You can see the rocky formations. They're all destroyed. I mean, you're fighting Darkseid here. So you have a nice mix of browns and grays, different formations, different textures, and man, some of these pieces are super heavy. I want to say the Martian Manhunter one was one of the heavier ones, as well as the Darkseid one. I guess it has to counterbalance the weight. Anyway, as you can see on some of the bottoms here, they look the same. The next little base here has a lot of rebar poking through, so they only really did that on this one. This is Wonder Woman's base. Had to kind of switch it up a little bit and show those destroyed buildings. Here goes one where it has a piece of the parademon on it, although that's not the base where he goes on to. And then this last one here, this is another heavy one, as you can see me struggling to hold this but this looks like the Darkseid base. All right, and that's box 1. Let's bring on box 2. Let's take off the lid. We'll take off the straps in that top layer, and let's see what we got here. So looks like we got Batman, Superman, some capes, some portraits. Let's start with Batman. So right away, I'm digging the costume, the black and gray. Doesn't really look like he's got much of a pose going on, but it'll make a little bit more sense once we assemble it. Muscle definition looks great. He's got his utility belt there. Classic costume with the black trunks on the outside. And then we'll go on to his sculpted cape, which looks awesome. The bottom of it is really pointy. I like how it really separates itself from the Martian Manhunter cape. But again, sculpted cape that'll key into the body, and then we'll have the portrait go into that cape. They did a great job on the Batman portrait. I like that kind of smug look on his face. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow. You can see the stubble on his chin. Everything on the Batman portrait I'm digging. The white eyes, the size of the ears, looks awesome. And then that same foreign weapon. Batman is actually holding one. Same kind of deal like with Aquaman's trident. The arm could move a little bit, but he's going to be using this against Darkseid. On to Superman. So Superman is attached to Darkseid's left fist. You can see how huge Darkseid is compared to the Justice League members. He's got that fist there balled up. I like the difference in blues from Darkseid to Superman. Superman looks iconic. They really went with the classic look of these characters, and you know, I'm all about that. We've got Superman's cape. Cape looks awesome. I love the flowing nature of it. The shadowing is well done. The yellow Superman emblem on the back. Nice strong peg that'll go into the body that we just saw. And then we're on to the portrait. So this is actually the one portrait I do not really like on this statue. It doesn't really feel like Superman to me. The teeth are well done. They have that enamel look, but something about his portrait dead on doesn't look right. Because actually from the sides it looks a little bit normal, but from the front right here, I'm not really digging it. Then we have Darkseid's right hand. You can see the folds in the gauntlet here, like how you can see those clenched fingers. Looks like he's struggling against Wonder Woman because this is where the lasso of truth will be. And then Darkseid's portrait. I am a sucker for Darkseid. I love the texturing on his skin. You can see the wrinkles in his forehead as well. And those teeth, man, like I said, those enamel looking teeth, they killed it on all the portraits with the teeth, even on the smaller portraits. This one is more comparable to a quarter-sized portrait, and I think that even rings true for his body. Before we get to that though, there are a couple of pieces of pipe. The weathering, very realistic. And then this is a railing, which will be from the Aquaman base. So we'll see what that looks like when we go to assemble it. And that's gonna be everything on the top layer. We are now ready for the bottom and final layer on this huge diorama. Here we can see only 3 pieces. 2 of them are base pieces, and then we have that huge Darkseid body that I just mentioned. This thing is humongous, super heavy. It really feels like a quarter scale Darkseid statue. Got those huge arms. The skin texture looks awesome. That Rocky-like nature to it. Old school costume. All right, so let's pull out the base. Number 296 out of just 338 made for this version, which is the color version. They do have a bronze version, which I'll talk about after we assemble this piece. But this is the base where that big wave will go into. I love the crashing waves, that blue they did. It reminds me of their Namor piece, which I was always impressed with how XM does water and fire. Love that they didn't go translucent. I love how the colors look. Looks amazing to me. And that large keyhole is where this huge wave will go. This is the wave that Aquaman keys into all the way at the top. Again, love the blue, love the crashing and breaking of the water where it turns white. Flipping it to the top, this is where Aquaman will key into. And then his foot is on the other side of that. Big, huge wave. Looks great. Let's go ahead and start assembling this thing, man. So it's not all gonna fit on this turntable, but let's look at these pieces individually because you're gonna miss some of it when it's all together. So we're putting down the base and the wave that we just looked at. Now we'll go ahead and place that railing, and then we'll get Aquaman keyed in on the top here. So both of his feet are actually part of the wave, which is why you don't see them there. We'll put that portrait on, and then let's give him his trident. I figured I'd do a 360 on all of these pieces individually because, like I said, once they're all connected, you're gonna miss a lot of detail. So here's a 360 of Arthur Curry, Aquaman. All right, next base, let's get it on the turntable. This one has the pipes that we saw earlier, so here's the first one that keys in. Let's go ahead and put Darkseid in. You can see that dirty weathering on his boots there like we saw earlier. This is where that Apocalypse weapon goes. And then on the back is that last pipe. Moving up, we'll put on Darkseid's right hand. Let's get his portrait on, and then we'll key in his left hand, which has Superman attached. Coming together, it looks great. Then Superman's cape. Let's go ahead and key that in. And of course, that portrait, my least favorite portrait. So Darkseid versus Superman. A lot of these pieces actually work by themselves. If you don't have the space for this diorama, you can kind of line everything up. So that's Superman and Darkseid. Let's get the next base over on the turntable. This base is going to have Batman on the very top. So let's go ahead and get Bruce Wayne keyed in. Moving on up, put his sculpted cape on. Throw on that portrait there. And then let's get him holding that weapon, which does have a light up feature. I just didn't have those kind of smaller watch batteries to get it to light up, but it has a red light up feature on the very front. And here's what Batman looks like. So again, you can see where you can kind of just put these all lined up in a row if you don't have that big space, which we'll take measurements when we get it all together. All right, base on the table. This one's going to be for the Martian Manhunter. So we're going to put the Parademon on. He's laying on his stomach. He's already been defeated. Go ahead and snap his portrait on there. And then get John John's on the very top of the base. He also has a sculpted cape like we've seen. So we'll get that keyed in. His portrait gets keyed in here. And voila. He looks great. We have a serious lack of Martian Manhunter pieces, so it is cool that you could display this by itself. It's cool that he's even included in the dio to begin with. All right, next up is the Speedster, the Flash. So he's got that little piece of Parademon because it butts up to the Martian Manhunter piece. Let's go ahead and get those little pieces of lightning keyed in on his legs. So this one goes on his right leg. Then the left leg has a lightning bolt as well. And then he's got one that's on his left arm, which I feel like it's a little bit awkward, but that's how it's supposed to go. So you can see how he's looking up over his right shoulder at Darkseid. He's presumably going to do some type of maneuver to try to take down this beast, but there we go. Barry Allen, next base, throw it on the table. This one's going to be for the Green Lantern, so he keys in like so. And then all we have to do is just put his construct into his power ring. So there we go, Green Lantern. I really do like the dynamic pose. He's leaned backward. He's got his arm cocked back like it's a weapon. So really dig how this one looks. All right, we're almost done here. We're going to drop this base down. This one's going to be for Wonder Woman. You can see all the rebar. So she'll key in right here with her left foot. And we're not going to really do the lasso until later on. So let's just take a quick look at her. She's one of the more underwhelming pieces. I feel like the weaker parts of this statue are Superman's portrait and Wonder Woman's pose, and even some of her sculpt I don't really dig. I think all the other characters are just so much more well done. But let's go ahead and start to put everything together, man. So let's start with Aquaman with that huge wave. He goes in the back. Darkseid and Superman, they go directly in front of him. Batman's going to go right to the left of the diorama. The Martian Manhunter to the right. And you got to kind of finagle that Parademon there, as well as that Apocalypse rifle. The Flash is going to go in the front. Green Lantern's going to go next to him. And then Wonder Woman's going to be the final piece. And we're going to wrap the lasso of truth around her wrist and around Darkseid's wrist so you can have her pulling tight on him. So this whole thing is not going to fit on the turntable. Let's grab another angle here from a little bit to the right. Now let's swing around a little bit to the left. And finally, let's see what he looks like in person. All right, guys, and there we have it, the Justice League vs. Darkseid 1/6 scale diorama by XM Studios. I'm going to try to take the dimensions of this, but it's not going to be 100%. It's got to be more than 30 inches in depth. That's the depth of this table. It's poking out a little bit more, kind of angled a little bit off. This is really the best angle. It's about 30 inches all around, like a big square. So it's a centerpiece statue for sure, something that you'd put on a square table. I'm thinking about if I should put it in front of the book area there. We saw the low edition size on this one, which is the color version. They do have a bronze version, which looks super nice as well. And I feel like that fits the more non-collector household, something that would blend in with like wood and oak and things of that nature. Super classy look. And this statue is actually one of the XM Studios pieces that you can purchase here from the States. They have a distribution company called GFX, and they're hosting a happy collecting campaign right now, which ends at the end of March. Selected pieces are up to 15% off, including this statue in the bronze version. Now that piece retails $3,099, just like this piece here, but if you use code GemHCMXM, you'll save $464, bringing the price down just to a little over $2,600. They've also got discounts on their Wonder Woman dioramas and their 1/6 scale Rebirth line. So make sure to check out GFX Distribution if you're looking to pick up any DC pieces, including this huge diorama. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and stay minty fresh. Peace.